tweet from, or a Truth Social post, I should say, from Donald Trump saying that he wants peace. He wants to create a situation where we have world peace in conjunction with China. Now, you did mention the Russia, China, Iran, essentially the BRICS alliance here. I'm going to throw you a curveball here, Alex. What is the range of possibilities that Trump could offer to join BRICS?
You know, I suspect that we might see that happen in reality because, the BRICS is now more than half of the world's population. Uh, the, you know, the Eurasian continent is something like 70% of the world's population, about as much of the global energy reserves. It, it's more than, it's close to that much of the world's GDP in purchasing power terms. Uh, it's a very, very big place, and it's a thriving place. It's Eurasian continent is in full swing of economic development. Hundreds of millions of people are being added to the ranks of the quote unquote affluent people, meaning, people who work and have money to spend. For the American enterprise, for the particularly small and medium-sized enterprise, this would be a very, very attractive prize, except you're not going to be able to do business with them on a if you try to force your way in, as a global cop who puts a gun to people's heads and say you're going to do what I tell you. That's over. But somebody said this, and I think it's an excellent metaphor. They said, You're always invited as a polite guest at the banquet." And I think that Trump's strategy probably will be to accept that invitation in some way when it becomes politically acceptable. And I think that might happen faster than we assume today. A lot of things are now unthinkable after 4 years of Biden. I think it's so clouded our minds that it's hard to imagine how things could be different, but things could be very different. And I think that, okay, taking the whole big picture into consideration, the United States has a very, very big problem, and that is the problem of the massive debt overhang, which is ultimately going to end up causing a reacceleration of inflation. So the economic policy is going to be probably the biggest challenge for the Trump administration, and it's also going to be his Achilles heel. To rekindle the economic the economic growth machine, you need to stimulate small and medium-sized enterprise, because that's absolutely the engine of innovation. That's where you're going to get 70 or 80% of the employment. And so you have to create conditions to stimulate, entrepreneurship from the ground up, small and medium-sized enterprise. And then, you need to give them markets, right? And in the United States, the consumer is tapped out. Everybody's got their credit cards maxed out. You need to have access to export markets. And so where are you going to look to for that? To the Eurasian continent, to China, to India, to Russia, to the Middle Eastern region, and so forth. So I think that the kind of deal making that Trump is going to be interested in, and I think it's almost a non-brainer, is to go and make peace. and to go and accept the invitation to the banquet as a polite guest rather than the bully. I,